Happy Wednesday, every day. Hey, everybody. We're here every day. It seems like it. All right. It's Jim, it's Amadeus, and we are here to talk to you. Amadeus, last night on yesterday's show, you talked and went into depth, frankly, about the fact that we had some closeout series yesterday, and there were some surprises, and there were some. Well, we kind of figured that was going to happen.
Yeah, I left us with the little interesting fact that of the 7 games that were being played across the NBA and NHL yesterday, 6 of those series could have been ended last night. Only one was guaranteed a game 6. And, sure enough, I say that. And every NBA series, all 3 were extended. Both the Bucks and the Sixers clung to life and clawed it back 3-2 in the series, where the Cavaliers took a 3-2 series lead as they were, tied there. They only won the game by 1 point. And then in the NHL, we had the Leafs win a overtime game 2-1 to save their lives for now, and then come back to Toronto. We'll see what they do tomorrow. But and then we had Colorado close up shop in Winnipeg. I mean, seemed like it was coming. Winnipeg, their staple is defense. They were one of the best defenses in the NHL this year, and that was something that just didn't exist in this series with the Avalanche, and they didn't have the offense to compete. So, but in the other 2 series, we had Nashville, extend their lives a little bit with a nice win in Vancouver, and we also had we had Carolina did we have Carolina wrap up the series? Actually, I didn't.
Yeah, I think so, because
all right.
Who had the Islanders?
Carolina.
Oh, Carolina. Yeah, they put it away.
Yeah, now I'm blanking on what happened. I feel like there was another game I'm forgetting yesterday.
I'll go to the NHL scoreboard. Okay.
I don't even know if that Carolina game was yesterday. I think it was the
It was. It was.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. The Islanders were. I know the Islanders were playing because I was.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I got it. I got it here. So yeah, it was the Hurricanes and the Avalanche closed up shop, and then the Leafs and the Predators extended their lives. So.
Right. Because I know that somehow I got the Islanders game by accident, and they weren't doing well at the time. My brother, not the soccer brother, but the other brother, I have 2 brothers, texted me last night and says, "Are you watching the Sixers Knicks?" And I said no, and he texted me back and says, "Good." He said, the Sixers are just stinking this place up. So he turns off the TV and goes to a movie, and so he comes back at a commercial break, and they're in overtime, and he's like, they were down by 15 or 10 or 15 points. What is going on? I said, welcome to the NBA. I mean, it's like, you look like crap for 3 quarters, and all you need to do is be decent for 6 minutes, and you end up winning the game.
And yeah, definitely. We see it all the time with those kind of leads, and it was a weird game too, just because the Knicks had a 6-point lead with 29 seconds left, and somehow that game went to overtime.
How do you lose 6 points in 29 seconds?
Yeah, there were some flagrant fouls called and stuff. They were getting chippy, but I don't know. How do you blow a 6-point lead with 30 seconds? I'm with you on that one.
But I do know this. I mean, Philly won at the Garden, so that means that the Sixers have to come back to Philly to play, and anything can happen at this point. And I think that if you're the Knicks, I mean, this is deja vu. You know how it's for you. They're always, and let's see how the Knicks pull out of this, if they pull out.
Yeah, it's an interesting series, though, just because obviously the Knicks won the last game in Philly, and we know these Knicks fans travel to Philadelphia. It's not very far. We saw in the last game there that there was a lot of Knicks fans in the building, which kind of got under Embiid's skin. And the other thing to factor in is like half this Knicks starting lineup is the Villanova team that won 2 national championships. So they know they love being in Philly. Brunson's an Eagles fan.
Right.
So trust me when I say they are comfortable going to Philadelphia. So this
They're
was a
probably more
very
comfortable.
interesting game.
Yeah, they're probably more comfortable, in the Wells Fargo Center than they were at Madison Square Garden.
I think every New York team that plays in New York feels more comfortable on the road than they do at home.
Yeah, the one exception I would say in that case is probably the Yankees. They usually enjoy playing at the stadium out there. God knows
not when they're losing like last year. That you know what I mean?
That's the point. They don't want to get booed from everybody.
It's the media, right? Some guys just can't handle the media, and then you play better on the road because you don't have to hear all that. All the crap that's being talked about you every day.
Yeah. So anyway, it's going to be crazy tonight. Same thing. Tonight we have games in both leagues where there are possibilities of ending it. And it's, that's kind of the fun part of this time of the year is watching how the first rounds of these playoffs go. Because remember, look, folks, we're in this to June. Okay, so get comfortable. It's not over yet. Now, obviously, it is for some teams, but if your team's in the playoffs, and you're cooking, God love you, because it's a long slog to get there. I've always thought, and I'd like your opinion on this, to win the Stanley Cup, to me, is the most difficult trophy in all the sports to get because of all the games you have to play to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear that phrase all the time, being up here in Canada.
I would think. Yeah.
It's easily the toughest trophy to win. And then even when you win it, it's the toughest trophy to actually lift up. So don't give me this crap with the Lombardi trophy and the Larry O'Brien. These guys got to lift like this heavy cup afterwards. And by then, you're thinking they're tired. They just played 60 minutes. They got all this equipment on. So it's incredible. It's the adrenaline taking over at that point. But yeah, definitely. I would totally agree with that. The physicality of the sport and everything involved. I
don't think people realize how tall that trophy is. I to be honest, I didn't until I actually saw it in person for the first time. And it's a good 3.5 feet tall.
Yeah, definitely. It's if any average male, it would be above your waist for sure. So it is a tall trophy. It's a heavy trophy. And
God.
People don't seem to realize it gets heavier every year because every time, maybe not every year, but once they fill up a layer, they don't change anything. They don't scrub names off. They add another layer. So this cup was a lot smaller when it first started, but it's gotten large. And 50 years from now, if it's assuming it's still a thing,
it'll be taller than your knee.
It's basically going to be 6 feet tall. It's going to be a human being, and at some point, we're not going to be able to lift the Stanley Cup anymore. There is going to be a
wheel it around.
Yeah. Players are just going to have to touch it and caress it a bit, and slightly tilt it to drink their beer out of it, and that's it.
I remember when the Caps won it, and it was all over DC, and it's in the pictures of taking it in the bars in Georgetown. They took it over to the stadium where the Nationals were playing, and walked from one side of the stadium to the other. The baseball team had their picture taken with the Stanley Cup. Everybody wants their picture taken with Stanley Cup. It's just, look, I've seen the Lombardi Trophy. I've held Lombardi trophies. Baseball trophies. They're lovely, lovely things. There just isn't anything as cool as the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and it's made out of a pure the metal it's made out of is pure metal, and it's not it's slightly hollow on the inside, but it's not too hollow.
Not really. No.
Thick layer. It's just slightly hollow so they can bang out any dents, because that's literally the way it's made. It's such a pure metal. If someone dents it or drops it, they have to go in and literally hammer it out.
Oh, and they always do. I mean, some fool will drop it and bang, it bangs off something. Some guys let one or two guys take it home. There was one year that they let one of the guys take it to Germany. I don't know why. I mean, which I guess it was to his home. So, I mean, it's been all over the world. And the cool thing is, right, if you win, and you may even be, the third string goalie, right, on the team, but you're on the team, your name is on that trophy.
Yep. And like I said, it's never coming off.
Nope. And so, yeah, I mean, to win it, you need, what is it? You have to win 16 games.
Yeah,
16
games.
postseason games. And that is not by any stretch of imagination easy.
You got to do the same in the NBA, win 16 games, but I would say hockey's harder. I mean, in NBA, there's not contact the way there is in hockey, where you're smashing someone up against a board. Not to mention, no one ever touches on the fact that these guys carry around 30 pounds of equipment when they're playing the game. You don't really wear that much equipment, other than football is really the only other sport. And even then, the football players, their legs and arms are exposed. They don't wear padding there usually. In hockey, it's draped from head to toes. And if you're a goalie, it's like twice as heavy, because you're stopping pucks, you're stopping these 100-mile-an-hour shots. So yeah, it's extra thick. I know as a former goalie.
Right. Well, and it's not uncommon for a goalie to lose anywhere between 4 and 6 pounds during a game.
Yeah.
And then you've got to go, and a lot of these guys will go into the room during period break and get IVs, just to get the liquid back in their bodies. And some people who are not hockey fans, or you just watch on TV, you don't realize that a long period on ice is a little over 2 minutes, right? You don't want to go with your forwards any longer than 2 minutes, because they're gassed at that point.
Yeah,
so
even 2 minutes is long. I would say 45 seconds.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that the point being that these guys come in and off the ice all the time.
Yeah,
and so it's a constant flow of people on and off the ice, which in and to itself is difficult, because you don't want to get hung with too many people on the ice, or you don't want to leave the ice on an odd man rush and you're like, we're screwed. So, it's a very choreographed situation. If you've never seen a game in person, it really, even if you have the opportunity to go watch a minor league one, it's really fun to watch, because there's so much going on off the ice that you probably never saw if you're watching television, because they don't show.
Yeah, definitely. And then you don't even mention the fact that they gotta hop over the boards too, which, I mean, it doesn't seem like much, but you still gotta hop over it with the boards like waist high, and you have to do it with all that equipment on. So definitely. And as you explained with the choreographing, you got to pick your spots to change, because you can't just, your minute might be up, but you can't just skate to the bench right away. You got to pick the right opportunity. As you said, make sure you're not leaving an odd man rush or something like that. And then if once you do, like if you're on the ice for 2 minutes or longer, then you've been caught in a situation like that, basically, where you're defending and you just can't get out of the zone. So
normally that happens when you're a power play, is you've got your guys on there. You don't want to try to get them off, because unless you can clear the puck and you maybe get it off from that standpoint. But there's the other thing too. It's hard to explain, and maybe you can do better than I. A hockey puck is as hard as a baseball, without a doubt. And it's round, and they keep it in a bucket of ice. The reason they keep it in a bucket of ice is whenever they need a new puck, it has to slide on the ice. If you just pulled it out of a piece of plastic or something and unwrapped it, put it on the ice, it wouldn't go anywhere. So they have to keep it in a bucket of ice. And these guys on the defense and the goalkeeper, they use their bodies to block it. So, I mean, you'll see guys dive and slide to take a puck in the leg or in the shoulder or in in the hip, and man, there's gonna be bruises all over you when that's going. Good luck with the NBA where LeBron's not gonna take a basketball off his shoulder unless unless Bronny's throwing it.
Yeah, people wonder why hockey players are always missing teeth, because sometimes they're taking those shots to the face too. When the defenseman lies down, they get that puck to the face, so it's not good. And as you pointed out, you're getting a frozen puck because the puck is made. It's made rubbery a little bit. It's got some rubber in there, and another reason why they have to freeze it is because it'll bounce too much around the boards and the ice if it's warm. So yeah, you're getting this frozen piece of rubber basically that needs to slide well, and you're trying to mitigate the bouncing. But that's why sometimes the where you're playing really matters. We talk a lot about how in some of these southern places they struggle to keep the ice cold, and it leads to bad consistency and things like that. It also affects how the puck bounces, and if the puck's not frozen, then all of a sudden you're wondering, how did we get that weird bounce off the corner of the boards and it squeaked in between the pad and the post, because that's just that's how it happens, right? The bounces are weird.
Last year when we were talking about this, you brought up a very interesting point, and that is the scraping of the ice to have around the goals. So you've got a little bit of a not that it would stop the puck, but you've got a little bit of a spot there that you can get comfortable in. What exactly? Do that again. Explain that if you could.
Yeah, so this is mainly something for goalies. And if you actually watch a game, see, they don't normally show it on TV. But as you said, if you go to a game, you'll see this. The first thing the goalie does when they skate to the net, after their stretches and things like that, they start, stopping. They're doing a motion as if they're stopping in place because they're trying to kick up snow. Because when the ice is just flooded, it's terrible for goalies because everything, not to mention, your crease is wet and it's uncomfortable if you're down in the butterfly. It's not a nice feeling, but also because it can really affect the game. If the ice is flooded still, you need the snow there kind of as a friction, because I've had it happen many times to me when the ice is freshly flooded. If you go down and slide on your knee from left to right, you can overslide a little. And it's harder to stop on your knees when you're in that sliding motion. And now you've overslid your position and you're out of position and you have to recover. So it's a very difficult thing. I've actually also seen an instant where I had, it was mid thick of the period. My crease was already very, nice and snowed up. And again, it was one of those scrambles in front of the net. Didn't know where the puck was. But I all of a sudden I caught a glance of it in the crease, and someone's stick, they didn't even know where it was. They just nudged it a bit, but because there was so much snow in the crease, normally on a flooded ice, that puck maybe slides into the net, but instead it moved like 2 inches and stopped in the snow, and it gave me a chance to get on it and cover the puck.
Wipe it away,
yeah, so absolutely, there's definitely some elements with the sliding of the puck and the sliding of yourself. And positioning wise, where it's very important for a goalie to snow up that crease and not play on the freshly flooded. If you would ask the goalie, and now I don't know how many players would say this, because I know some players that like the flood, others who didn't. But I bet if you asked, every goalie, I would say 9 out of 10 goalies will tell you don't flood the ice before periods. Just let me get out there and play on the chippy ice.
So basically the Zamboni is not your friend?
No, definitely not for goaltending anyway.
For goaltending, right? And you've got Florida advanced, and they're going to the next round, and it does get a little muggy down in that building, and there's no doubt going to be a little bit of there's definitely a home ice advantage in that circumstance. We'll see how that plays out. By the way, for those of you paying attention who probably don't care, but it's a business but interesting thing. Coyotes, as you do, next year where the Jazz plays. As a matter of fact, they were bought by the Jazz owner. So, in the ultimate gall situation, the people who owned the team in Phoenix, where it never worked, are asking for an expansion team. Are you kidding me? I mean, seriously. You have 20 years of hockey. You can't make it work. But this new building that you're supposedly building is going to bring people to Phoenix to a hockey game. I don't think so.
That can't be real, right? Like you're telling
Oh,
me
it's real. No, they're
asking for an
Asking
expansion.
is one thing. Getting is another. Okay.
Oh, I figured there's no way they're getting it. We just moved the
Right.
team out of there. But how can you have the audacity to ask for a team when your franchise just failed? And never mind the fact that it's been so bad these last few years. What about when they weren't the Arizona Coyotes? Let's think about when they were the Phoenix Coyotes, when they were actually, because they've been relocated in the state already. All right. And they were the Phoenix Coyotes. They played in Phoenix. It didn't work there. They could never fill the building. And keep in mind, they had Wayne Gretzky as their head coach in those years that they were the Phoenix Coyotes. So if you can't fill a building with hockey fans when your coach is Wayne Gretzky, arguably the greatest player to ever step on ice, then how the hell? And then you go and relocate it to Arizona. We're now the Arizona Coyotes. We're not going to call ourselves Phoenix because we had to move out of Phoenix, but we're still in the state and it didn't work there. Now you have the audacity to go and ask for a brand new franchise. I love it.
Yeah. Glendale is about 20 miles out of Phoenix. Okay. It's where the Cardinals Stadium is. And the rationale behind that, it makes sense, right? There's a lot of highways around that area. So for people to get to a Cardinals game, at the stadium, it allows people from all over the state of Arizona and frankly, from Mexico and even some, California's not that far away. It's right across the border. So, I mean, you could go over and watch Arizona. I get that. So that part. I don't get the part where you move the hockey team because if you look at the Islanders, right, in New York, if you look at the Devils in Jersey, unless they're really winning, they're not drawing. If you look at the Rangers, they don't have to win. They're in the same building with the Knicks. Philly has the same team, places where the basketball team and the hockey team are together, successful franchises. When you've got a city where you've got the Suns playing in one building, meanwhile, 25 miles away from the Suns building, the hockey is the hockey. You can't. It's hard to market that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And look at what we've had in the playoffs this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every successful team in the NHL and NBA playoffs have been sharing a stadium. We had the Clippers, the Kings, and the Lakers from one stadium, all in the playoffs. Both Dallas teams, both in the playoffs. The Rangers and the Knicks, both share the stadium, both in the playoffs, and as high seeds as well. So, the proof is in the pudding yourself, or the proof is in the pudding itself. Your point has literally just been proven by the teams in the playoffs this year.
And there are cities where they just have a hockey team, where they just have a basketball team, and that's fantastic because that way, that's where all the focus is on, and that's those, like your Memphis and Orlando and that situation, and that's cool. That's cool. It's just that in a city the size of Phoenix, they've never shown the appreciation for the NHL, which is fine because there have been success stories in Sunbelt towns. I mean, Nashville, man, try getting a ticket there. Carolina's been really sharp. In the last decade or so, Tampa Bay has come on. Florida plays well, but they don't get the kind of crowds that they should, given the fact that that they've done well. If they were in the same building with the Heat, I think that it's one thing to go, and you had mentioned, I think, Sunrise, which is basically on the Everglades. You're about 10 miles or 5 miles from the Everglades, so the mosquitoes down there.
It's near that huge mall. I know there's like this huge outlet mall or something like that shaped like an alligator, and you have to drive out of the way of Fort Lauderdale or Miami or wherever you are to get there.
Well, you're headed to what is called, there's a stretch of road, Interstate 75 or US 41, depending upon which one you want to take. It goes from Miami to Fort Myers. It's about a little over 100 miles. There's nothing there but swamp between you and that. They're on the edge of that swamp. So I'll that, but that's where the Florida Panthers have set up shop. And
and I'm telling you, the one time I went to a game in that building, all Ontario license plates and some Quebec. Those are the only time that building is getting filled up, when the Leafs and the Canadians come to town.
Yep. And there you go from that standpoint. Let's talk about yesterday. We had some Champions League stuff, which, it was, there were a couple of decent games in that pack.
Yeah, so we're down to the we're down to the thick of it. We got the semifinal matches going, and yesterday we had Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Personally, what I think are the two best teams left. So this is it's kind of like the final for myself. But they came away with a 2-2 draw. It was a very interesting match where Real Madrid took an early lead in the first 20 minutes of the match, caught Bayern a little off guard there with their speed, and they held that lead up until halftime. Then Bayern came out, and about 5 or so minutes into the half, they scored 2 quick goals to take a 2-1 lead, including a penalty kick given to them. And they held that lead up until about, I would say, about 15 minutes left in the match, when they gave up a penalty kick to Real Madrid. Real Madrid tied it 2-2. And next week we'll have the second leg in Madrid at the Bernabeu. So we'll see who closes out that one. But today we're going to have another good one. I mean, Borussia Dortmund is hosting PSG, and, last hurrah for PSG with Mbappe there. So this is going to be a very interesting game. These two actually played each other in the group stage of this season's competition. And Dortmund, the match Dortmund hosts, they tied 1-1. And the match that PSG hosted, they won 2-0. PSG was the better team in both matches, in my opinion. But anything can happen. Dortmund hasn't been good. It's funny. They haven't been great in the German league. They're sitting 5th place right now. And, they're looking outside of the 4 Champions League spots at the moment. But, they could still get into 4th with 3 matches left. They're not dead in the water. It's very bleak. But I have a feeling, focus is turned to this competition and winning this competition, especially if they're going to finish 5th. And your only way back in the Champions League would be the defending champion. So we'll see. It should be an exciting game today, I would think. So
right now, PSG's got a 2-goal lead on aggregate?
No. So this is the first leg. The second leg is next week. What I was saying is during the group stage earlier this season, back in November, or from, I guess it would have been from September to December, the group stage. But they were in the same group. So they played each other twice in this competition this year. And Dortmund, they tied 1-1 in Germany, and PSG won their home fixture 2-0. So, now they play each other again, but it doesn't always go the same. So we'll definitely see. There's been a few of those actually along the road to the finals, in the quarterfinals, and in the round of 16. In both Europa League and Champions League this season, we've had a few of those where teams faced a team they actually faced in the group stage. So, normally you get these scenarios in the semifinals and stuff where you get 2 teams that have never played each other in history at all, because the only time they would meet would be in the competition, and you'd have to get drawn into the same group. It's all chance, really. But this year we've had quite a few where it was like, oh, these 2 faced each other in the group stage a few months ago.
We'll take it. Yeah. The
Oh,
Switching
and one
gears.
last thing. Sorry. One last thing. I found out the Champions League finals in London this year. It's the road to London.
Oh my gosh, at Wembley.
I believe
Must be
that's
at Wembley.
usually
Yeah,
where
it
they
has
have
to
the
be.
FA Cup and stuff like that. So
Right, yeah, that would be in Wembley. Uh, the shifting gears part comes to tennis, where this is Rome is the last, big test before the French Open. And this morning, Rafael Nadal said that he would be headed to play in Rome. He normally doesn't play that tournament. My guess is, and it's just a guess, that he just wants to get a little more clay, playing under his belt before he gets to Roland Garros.
yeah, so that's exactly what it is. I don't think has he really played in any tournaments this year. Like as far as I'm concerned, he's retired except for the majors. He's going to come out of the woodwork to play the majors. And clay, obviously, he's the king of clay. It's his favorite thing. That's where majority of courts in Spain, where he's from, are made of clay. So it totally makes sense to me that you don't want to go into the Roland Garros rusty, still shaking the rust off. So he's gonna come out for Rome, get a little clay under his feet, and then hopefully he'll carry that momentum into the Roland Garros.
Well, the clay too on Nadal's knees are going to be fine. I mean, he doesn't want to be on that composite surface that you got the Australian on, or you've got the U.S. Open on, and then grass is an absolute disaster. So clay, I think, would be, he, as you used to say, is the king of clay. This gives him the opportunity to really just work on that aspect of it.
Yeah, pad that clay record. He's very good in the Roland Garros, like all time. So just add to that 50-3 record or whatever it is.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's really just a crazy stat. And it's funny. My the brother who I told you just called me about the Sixers was in a hotel in Manhattan the other day, and bumped into none other than John McEnroe. And
wow.
they were both waiting for a table at the same time. And said that Mac is excited about the tournaments this year. He thinks there's going to be some wide open possibilities. So we'll see if John is as good a prognosticator as he is a former tennis player. So we'll see from that standpoint. But yeah, John does pay attention. So we'll see. And there's a lot of good young players on the tour. So we'll have to see if they can break through. But there's it's not an easy thing to do. So there we go. All right, enough of that. Onward and upward. Let's time for you to tell us what's going on today in your world, so that they can go down to the show box and have some fun and do us a favor and click on your links.
Yes, make sure you check out my premium picks at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. The links are in the description below. I'm coming off a 4-4 day, but the streak on the pitch continues. I had a perfect 4-0 day on the pitch yesterday. I'm now on a 60, 29, and 5 run in soccer, all soccer leagues over the last 2 weeks or so. So definitely on fire on the pitch. I'm actually 2-0 today already. I had an early Australian winner with the Central Coast Mariners. They won their league title with that win this morning. And I also had Sturm Graz to win the Austria Cup, which they did earlier today, 2-1 against Rapid Vienna. So, I got some action on the pitch. I only got one NBA play up for later tonight. If you want to go check out that. Not coming off a great NBA day, looking to bounce back today. But yeah, most of my big action is on the pitch today. I cashed my Champions League total of the month yesterday with that over in the Bayern Real game. I got another Champions League play that you can get at 3:00. I also have my CONCACAF Champions Cup total of the month that you can get tonight in the Monterey Columbus game. I'm coming off a winner last night. I had Pachuca to beat Club America. So definitely big winner there. They were a pretty big dog at home. And I got 3 Copa do Brazil plays. I'm coming off a winner in Copa do Brazil yesterday with Bahia, and I'm 5-1-1 in the competition going back to last season. So definitely tons of action on the pitch today. Go check it out.
All right, folks. You heard the man. Do it. We will be back tomorrow. And there's golf. There's horse racing. There's all kinds of stuff coming up. And we shall return tomorrow on Thursday to bring all that information to you. Don't forget to hit the show box below. Yeah, do us a favor. Like us, subscribe to us, hit the bell so that you know when we're on. And also leave a comment. We will be happy to answer for you, okay? All right, gang, until tomorrow around 2 o'clock, it's Jim and Amedeus saying goodbye.